So as you're getting settled, it might be a good idea to have a block. If you have a block that is available, then grab that. And also a blanket for behind your head. If you don't have a block, it's totally fine. Then just grab, make sure you have a blanket or a towel or something that you can roll up and use to sit on, or also for behind your head. And once you have that block or blanket, please come into a good seat. So meaning sit in a way that allows the torso to be upright. And then with your hands, turn your thighs in, lightly pull the flesh of the buttocks back and apart, lightly. If we've been doing yoga for a while, we can do those movements with a little more intensity than is needed as our practice gets more part of our regular life. And then take your hands down on the ground beside you. And as you push down with the fingertips, lengthen the sides of the torso from the top of the pelvis to the base of the rib cage, especially, and then up through the rib cage to right under the armpits. Take the head slightly back, lift the center of the chest up, and keeping that lift in the chest, place your hands lightly up or down on your legs. One of the themes that I've been working with in the last couple of classes is the idea of trust, and especially trust in times of uncertainty. Right now, in the current reality, uncertainty is very real and acknowledged and even palpable. The yoga tradition and also modern psychology says that uncertainty is actually something that that is a truth regardless of the circumstances of the external world, that we are very unable to predict the future, even when our mind likes to tell us that we are able to. Psychology says that we misremember the past and we mispredict the future. And the yoga tradition says that uncertainty is just part of life. We don't know what's coming. And so how do we manage that? How do we deal with that? The yoga tradition says that part of the practice of living with that uncertainty is building the trust in ourselves, and specifically the trust in the inner voice, in our intuition, and in the guidance that that inner voice of intuition offers. And that's guidance that is beyond the rational mind. It's not something that we can figure out, and it's not something that we can rationalize or even explain to other people. So what we're wanting to do in our practice, in all of our yogic practices, we're wanting to tune into the internal environment and to the still quiet voice of intuition found deep within. And one of the ways that we can begin to do that is to pull all of our senses inward, turn toward the inner world, and cultivate an internal state of relaxation that allows us greater access to our intuition. When our body-mind is in a state of fight or flight response, when we're overstimulated, when we're activated in those ways, we have less capacity to tune into that voice of intuition. So this morning as we practice, it will be to pull the senses inward, to turn toward the internal environment, and to cultivate, because this is a practice, to cultivate the capacity to listen to the inner voice of wisdom, even when we can't explain the guidance and we can't rationalize what that voice is telling us, that we want to build the capacity to trust that under all circumstances. So with that in mind, close your eyes. And closing the eyes is one of the signals that we're turning the senses inward. So with the eyes closed and without the visual recording of the external environment, we can begin to tune into the inner world. Soften the jaw so that the back teeth separate, and feel into the connection between the jaw and the inner ear, so that when the jaw is relaxed, our ears tune more finely to sound, and for our purposes today, specifically to the sound of our inner voice of wisdom. Notice the breath. And trace the inhale from the edge of the nostrils down and into the body. Watch the exhalation rise up and out. But more particularly, let the inhale pull you in, so that as the mind begins to more fully follow the breath in and down, we tune more into the inner environment and begin to use our senses to record the information of our inner world as opposed to the information from our outer world. And then with your next exhalation, join your hands together at your heart. And we'll chant the sound of Om 3 times. Take a deep breath in. Just for a moment, tune into the reverberation of the sound still present inside. And then drop your head over to your heart. Release your hands. Lift your head. And one just quick thing before we move into the physical practice. This practice is, it's not going to be like super crazy intense or anything, but it's, I have the expectation that you can take care of yourself and substitute poses as you need to and not overdo it. So just keep that in mind. It's assuming a certain level of foundational practice, which I know most of you have, and that you can modify and take care of yourself as needed. Having said that, if you're on Zoom, then you can unmute yourself and ask any question as we move through the practice. So now, come into extended child's pose. Touch the big toes together. Separate the knees. That is the size of the torso. And then sitting back toward the heels. Walk your hands forward. Stretching the arms straight. And more importantly, release the forehead and support the forehead with a block or your blanket if the forehead isn't easily making contact with the ground. Breathe. And maybe close your eyes here. When the forehead is supported like this, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system, our brain settles. There's a calming, and there's a natural turning inward for most of us. So as you're here, just really let the body settle, let the mind settle. Draw your senses in. And as we draw the senses in, one of the classic ways to do that is to just pull the senses to the breath, so that we're smelling the breath, tasting the breath, watching the breath, feeling the breath on the inside, and listening to the breath. And that barely perceptible whisper of the natural breath attunes us to the barely perceptible voice of intuition within. Couple more breaths. And then keeping the head supported, just walk the hands a little more forward away from you. Come high up on the fingertips and feel the lift on the underside of the arms that creates. Turn the triceps, the outside edges of the upper arms, down toward the ground and hug them slightly in toward the face. Sit the hips back and down toward the heels. And feel the length along the sides of the body and invite the breath there for one more breath through. Now, keeping the lift in the arms as best you can, place the hands flat. Come up onto your hands and knees, separate the feet, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Lift the hips up and press back. Slightly bend the elbows and bring the weight down into the knuckles at the base of the first fingers and into the mounds at the bottoms of the thumbs. Turn the triceps down toward the ground and around toward the sides of the face and pull the hips back. And now pedal out the legs a little bit. So bend the right knee, press down into the left heel. Change, so bend the left knee, press down into the right heel. Move like this a few times with the breath. Lengthening and stretching through the calf muscles. And then when you've finished, the next time on your left, pause with both legs straight, and then look forward and slowly walk up to your hands, standing forward bend, Uttanasana. Separate your feet a few inches apart for the first one, so go wider if the muscles on the backs of the legs are less willing to forward bend. Take the heels out as wide as the baby toes and sink the weight of the body down into the base of the big toes, the center of the heels. Lightly push the heels apart. Hug the outer hips in. And as the outer hips narrow or compact toward the midline, feel the low belly lift back off of the top of the thighs slightly. Now for the next couple of breaths, soften the jaw
And even if the eyes are open, the gaze is soft. And you're using these three positions where the head is below the heart to settle the body, to turn the senses inward, and to begin the process of cultivating the awareness of our inner world and of the voice of wisdom within there. Bend the knees a little bit. Place your hands on your hips, lift your chin. Inhale, come up. Exhale. Hook your thumbs over your head for a moment. And keeping the weight down into the base of the big toes and the center of the heels. Press the tops of the thigh bones back toward the wall behind you. Draw the buttocks down and squeeze the outer hips in. Then, point the elbows slightly toward the sides and drop your shoulder blades away from your ears. As you inhale, now stretch the arms straight and turn the triceps toward the sides of the face as you stretch the arms straight. Lift up. And now, without creating more of a curve in the lower back, move the upper arm bones back behind the ears as much as you can. Inhale. Exhale, bend the elbows just over the head. Change the hook of the thumbs. Move the elbows back. Drop the shoulder blades here. And then, as you inhale, wrap the triceps toward the face. Let the shoulder blades lift and stretch the arms straight. As you stretch up, feel right through the center line of the torso from the base of the pelvis to the crown of the head. And then keep that line. Take the upper arms back behind the ears some amount. Inhale, separate the thumbs, and exhale, join your hands together at your heart. Surya Namaskar. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up overhead, sun salutation. As you exhale, fold all the way down over the legs. As you inhale, hands on the shins, ankles, or fingertips on the ground. Lengthen the front of the torso, look forward. Exhale, place the hands flat and step or lightly hop back into downward facing dog. Slide the feet a little bit away from you, a little bit more away from you, and inhale the shoulders forward over the wrist, plank pose, and hold here for a few breaths. And so as you hold here, squeeze the legs together, lift the hips up as high as the back of the heart, and turn the tailbone toward the heels. Press the heels away from you and reach forward through the crown of the head. Come forward a little bit more, drop your knees to the ground as you need to, and exhale. Lower halfway down, and then all the way onto your stomach. Without using your hands here, inhale, curl your head and shoulders up. As you curl your head and shoulders up, make sure you're not pushing with your hands yet. And then just lightly pull your hands toward your feet to drag the sides of the torso forward. Tuck the toes under, exhale. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Take a breath or two here. Keeping the elbows micro bent, turn the triceps toward the sides of the face and pull the hips strongly away from the hands. Feel the length in the torso. And then look forward, inhale, walk or lightly hop up to your hand. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, come all the way up to stand, arms overhead. Exhale, hands at your heart. Inhale, circle the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen the front of the torso, half forward bend. Exhale, step or hop into downward facing dog. Slide the feet a little further away from you. Inhale, plank pose, shoulders over the wrists. Lift the hips up as high as the back of the heart. Rotate the tailbone and the buttocks toward the heels. And then press back through the heels as you stretch the crown of the head forward. Keep the shoulder blades away from your ears. One more breath. And then come forward a bit more. Exhale, halfway down. Lie on your stomach. Inhale, curl your head and shoulders up. Just like we did the first time. No weight on the hands to begin with. Keeping the shoulder blades away from your ears. Now, pull your hands toward your feet. And instead of thinking up, drag the center of the heart forward. And up happens. So you're really trying to wiggle the rib cage away from the hips. Tuck the toes. With your next exhale, downward facing dog. Breath or two here. Turning the triceps toward the face. Pull the hips strongly back. And feel the length through the sides of the torso. And then look forward. Inhale. Walk or lightly hop up to your hands. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale. Inhale, circle the arms. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half forward bend. Exhale, step or hop, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank, shoulders over the wrists, hold, breathe. Keeping the shoulder blades away from the ears, really stretch the crown of the head away from the pelvis. Keep the low belly lifting back toward the spine, away from the floor. Bring your attention inward. And then bringing the shoulders forward, exhale halfway down. Line your stomach. Inhale, head and shoulders lift. Pull the hands toward the feet. And now push into the hands a little bit. Rise up a bit more, cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pulling the hips back away from the hands. Press the tops of the thighs toward the wall behind you. And now, without rounding the lower back at all, extend from the backs of the knees down into the heels, lengthening the calf muscles and bringing your heels closer to the ground. Look forward. Inhale, walk or lightly hop up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, circle the arms. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen. And then exhale, step or hop into downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. And then right through. So come forward a little bit more. Exhale, halfway down. Line your stomach. Keeping the shoulder blades away from your ears. Inhale, curl up. And as you pull your hands back toward your feet, press down into the hands. Stretch the arms a little straighter. Maybe look up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe here. And after you set up the pose, tune into the breath and draw all of the senses inward. Look forward. Inhale, walk or hop up to your hands. Exhale. Inhale, come up. Exhale, hands at the heart. Sweep the arms out and up, last one. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, step or hop into downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, halfway down, and then lying on your stomach. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. So here, we'll just stay here for another moment. With your next exhale, just swivel on the balls of the feet so that you turn your heels out to the right. Press into your left hand and pull your left hip back and feel the length on the left side of the torso. And then inhale back to center. As you exhale, just swivel on the balls of the feet so you take the heels out to the left, the outside edge of the left foot's on the ground, the right heel. Push into your right hand, pull your right hip back. And then inhale back to center. Look forward. Walk or hop up to your hands. Exhale, fold over the legs. And then inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands at your heart. Release your hands to your side and step your feet right together so that the inner edges of the big toes touch. Utkatasana, just as a standalone pose. So with the legs right together, bend the knees deeply, touch the fingertips to the ground. Shift back into your heels, squeezing the legs together, lift the chest, and then inhale, stretch the arms up alongside the ears. Keep moving the weight back into the heels. Drop the sitting bones, the tailbone toward the heels. Now turn the triceps toward the sides of the face. Let the shoulder blades lift. Lift the chin. Look up at your thumbs. And then pushing into your heels, inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, the arms to your sides. Standing side bend. So inhale, stretch the arms up. Interlace your fingers. Point your first finger up toward the sky. If that's not appropriate for your shoulders, just keep the arms shoulder distance apart. Stretch up, squeeze the legs together. And then as you exhale, side bend to the right. So shift your hips to the left. Lean way over to the right. Press down into your left heel. Lengthen from your left hip to the base of your left rib cage. Lengthen through the side of the ribs right to the armpit. And then inhale, come on up. Change the interlacing of the fingers. Lift up, inhale. And now as you exhale, side bend to the left. So shift your hips to the right. Lean way over. As you lean over, press into your right heel and squeeze your legs together. Lengthen from your right hip through, right up to the armpit. Squeeze both arms in, and then pushing into your heels, inhale, come up. Exhale, sweep the arms down. Separate your feet a few inches apart and interlace your hands behind your back. If that's not appropriate for your shoulders, you could keep your hands on your hips. With the hands interlaced behind you, simply press the top of the upper arm bones back toward the wall behind you and keep the elbows a little bit bent. We're going to fold forward from here. Inhale, lift the chest up. As you exhale, hinge at the tops of the thighs, fold all the way over your legs. You can bend your knees a bit. And it can be nice, especially for this first one, to bend the knees enough that your torso comes in contact with your legs and your head hangs. So now, keeping the elbows bent, press the elbows straight up to the sky. Lift the top of the upper arm bones away from the ground. And then if it works for your body, stretch the arms straight, keeping just a tiny micro bend in the elbows. Without lifting the shoulder blades toward the ears, stretch the arms straight. And if the arms are straight, then you can drop the arms toward the head, letting the shoulder blades Move in whatever way facilitates the action in the arms. Bring the hands back over the hips. Push into the heels, lift the chin. Inhale, come up. Exhale, release the arms. We'll do it a second time with the hands interlaced in the opposite interlacing. So changing the interlacing of the hands behind the back. Bend the elbows a little bit. With the elbows a bit bent, they point straight back toward the wall behind you. Press the top of the upper arm bones back. Lift the center of the chest up. And now as you exhale, bend the knees, perhaps, and fold over. What we're really doing here is inviting the breath to move into the back of the lungs. So if you bend your knees so that the torso and the legs come together, even if you can do this with your legs straight, that compression on the body, front of the torso, helps to move the breath a little more into the lungs, the back of the lungs. Now with the elbows slightly bent, lift the top of the upper arms away from the ground. Stretch the arms straight, keeping a slight bend in the elbows. You might find it useful to just slightly pull the hands apart without actually moving them. Keeps a little bend in the elbows. Arms are straight, perhaps drop your forehead toward your shins more and bring the arms some amount overhead. Breathe. Soften the jaw. Relax the eyes. And from that place of softening in the face, the senses turn more inward to the breath. One more breath. And then bringing the hands back to the hips, lift the chin, inhale, come up. Exhale, release the arms. Face the long edge of the mat. And then inhale, step the feet really wide apart. Triangle pose to the right first. So turn the left foot slightly in. Rotate the right leg and foot out. Press down into the left heel. Plant the big toe side of the right foot. Inhale the arms out to shoulder height. Lift up a little bit so that you get more length on the right side of the torso, and then keeping that, stretch out and down. Hold your shin, your ankle, put your fingertips on the ground. Stretch the other arm up. Now from your pelvis, so from your left hip, push down into your left heel and press it out away from you. Plant the inside edge of the right foot, and hug your right buttocks in against the bone of the pelvis. Now draw the shoulder blades away from the ears and curl the center of the chest up. Maybe even lift the chin a little bit. For the last breath, breathe more into the right side of the torso, and keeping length on the right side of the torso, exhale, push into your heels. Inhale, come up. Exhale, release your arms. Turn your feet. And then the second side. So turning your feet to the left, right foot slightly in, left leg and foot out. Inhale the arms to the sides. Lift up on the left, and then as you exhale, stretch out and down. Hold as you did on the first side. From your right hip, press down into your right heel and extend your right heel out away from you. Keeping the weight on the inside edge of the left foot, hug your left buttocks underneath you. Lengthen both sides of the torso, but especially the left side, and drop the shoulder blades. Now curl the center of the heart up. And for the last couple of breaths, tune into the movement of the breath. And feel your senses wrap around the breath, and use that to pull the senses inward
building the capacity to tune into the voice of intuition within the torso, within the heart, within the essence, the center of us. Pushing into both heels, inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, turn the feet, lower the arms, and then inhale, step the feet together. Utkatasana, touch the big toes, separate the heels a little bit, bend the knees, lean over, touch the fingertips to the ground. Pushing into the heels, inhale, stretch the arms out alongside the ears. Keeping the heels heavy, shift the weight back. Drop the sitting bones down and squeezing the legs together. Now really stretch the sides of the torso longer. So right from the outer hip, lengthen through the sides of the rib cage, the armpits. Stretch the arms up, let the shoulder blades lift. And then pushing into your heels, inhale, straighten the legs. Exhale, drop the arms. Parsvakonasana, extended side angle. If that means a block, then grab your block. And inhale, step the feet really wide apart. Turn the left foot slightly in, the right leg and foot out. Inhale, take the arms to the sides. And then as you exhale, deeply bend your right knee, lengthen the inside of the leg and hug it in. Now just like in triangle pose, lift up a bit on the right side. And now as you exhale, reach out, really lay your torso on the thigh and put the hand inside or outside the front foot. Stretch the other arm just straight up, actually, for today. So from your left hip, press down into your left heel. Anchor your right heel and really hug the buttocks of the right leg in against the pelvis. Drop the shoulder blades. Lengthen the right side of the torso and really lay it down on your right thigh. But then twist the center of the chest a little bit to the left. Good. Push into your heels. Inhale. Exhale, turn the feet. Lower the arms. Second side. Turn the right foot in. Spin the left leg and foot out. Inhale, extend the arms to the sides. Deeply bend your front knee, your left knee. And point the knee straight over the middle toes. Then lift up on the left side. And now as you exhale, stretch out. Put the hand inside or outside the foot. As you stretch out, you really want to bring the whole left side of the torso down in contact with the left thigh as best you can. Stretch the right arm up. From your right hip, press your right heel down and out away from you. Hug the left buttocks underneath you more. Drop the shoulder blades down away from the ears and lengthen through the left side of the torso. Now for the last breath or two, breathe and feel the breath. The sound of the breath. And pushing into your heels, inhale, come all the way up. Turn the feet, release the arms, inhale, step the feet together. One more Utkatasana. So big toes touch, heels a little bit apart. Exhale, bend your knees, lean over, touch the ground, lift your chest, and then stretch the arms out alongside the ears. Push into both heels. Squeeze the legs together, like you're narrowing the outer edges of the legs in. And there's a sense that you have only one leg here to stand on. Stretch the arms out, turn the triceps toward the head, and take the upper arms back. Push into both heels. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, release the arms. Inhale, step the feet apart. Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose, just halfway. So with your feet apart, turn the left foot in now 60 degrees. Rotate your right leg and foot out. Move your right foot a bit more over to the right as you need to face the short edge of the mat. And then place your hands on your hips. Press from your left hip down into your left heel. Firm your right thigh. And now as you inhale, curl the center of the heart up so that the spine moves into the body and your chest feels, your torso feels a little like Utkatasana, chair pose, the one that we just did. You want to keep that sense of the spine moving into the body, and then exhale, fold just halfway forward. As you fold halfway, keep moving the spine in. Press down into your left heel. Pull your right hip back and hug it in toward the midline. And now really lengthen the sides of the torso. Dive the spine in and puff the center of the chest forward and up. Push into your heels. Inhale. Lift the torso back up. Exhale, turn your feet. And then the second side. So spin your right foot around 60 degrees. Turn your left leg and foot out. Press the top of the right thigh bone back and plant your back heel. Firm your front thigh. Turn your rib cage to face the short edge of the mat. And then pressing your hips back, curl the center of the heart up. Feel the spine dive in. Feel the width across the front of the body, and then keeping that exhale, hinge halfway forward. At the halfway point, shift your hips back toward your right heel. Hug your left outer hip toward the midline. Feel the low belly lift, and now curl the center of the heart forward and up so the shoulder blades are down and pressing into the upper back. Good, push into both heels. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, turn the feet. Inhale, step the feet together. Revolved triangle, Parivrtta Trikonasana. So if you block, put the block down on your mat, on the right side first. And then inhale, step your feet really wide apart. So with the feet wide, turn the left foot in, rotate the right leg and foot out. Face the short edge of the mat, just like we did in the previous pose. And it's going to look very much the same, except we're going to stretch the left arm up alongside the left ear. So now, planting your back heel, firming your right thigh, and turning your ribs to face the short edge of the mat. Inhale, stretch the left arm up. Curl the center of the heart up. And now shifting your hips back, stretch out, bringing the torso halfway down. Put your left hand either inside your right foot or cross it over, supporting the hand with the block as needed. Now continuing to plant your back heel, hug your right hip in toward the midline so your hips haven't shifted to the right. Lengthen the sides of the torso. Drop your shoulder blades. And then if it's working for you and the torso's twisted to the right well, stretch your right arm up. Lengthen from your sitting bones to the crown of the head. And now pushing into your heels, inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, turn your feet. And then the second side. So turn your right foot in, rotate your left leg and foot out. Rotate the torso toward the short edge of the mat in front of your left toes. And planting your back and firming your front thigh. Inhale, stretch your right arm up alongside your right ear and really lengthen all the way up along the right side of the torso. Shift your hips back. Reach forward, stretching the arm out, and then hand down to the inside or maybe the outside edge of your left foot. Plant your back heel. Hug your left hip in. Lengthen the sides of the torso and twist the torso. Breathe. If you did it on the first side, stretch the left arm straight up. Notice your engagement inside so that your mind is paying attention to the body in the pose and the breath. And that's the gift of these poses. And then pushing down into your heels. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale. Turn the feet and inhale, step the feet together. Face the short edge of the mat. We're going to do that forward bend with the hands interlaced behind the back again. So feet apart, some distance. Bring the outside edges of the feet parallel. Interlace your hands behind your back. Bending the elbows a little bit, just move the top of the upper arm bones back. Inhale. And now as you exhale, bend the knees, fold all the way down over the legs. So again, you might want to work with the knees bent so that the torso and the legs come closer together, but you could also do this with the legs straight. With the hands interlaced, lift the top of the upper arms away from the ground. And feel the shoulder blades plant themselves more deeply in the upper back. And stretch the arms straighter, keeping a micro bend in the elbows. If the arms are straight and you want more, then drop the arms over the head. You want to make sure you're not feeling this in the rotator cuff area in the front of the shoulders. One more breath. Push into the heels, lift the chest. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale. Change the interlacing of the fingers. With the fingers interlaced, press the elbows back toward the wall behind you. Inhale. And now as you exhale, bend the knees. Lay the torso down on the thighs. Release the head. Maybe stretch the legs straighter if that's what your intuition is telling you to do. Squeeze or lift the upper arm bones away from the ground. Stretch the arms almost straight. And then maybe as you exhale, take them over the head. Breathe. And use the experience of the body being manipulated into the positions to draw our attention in, to turn all of our senses, including our mind, toward the inner world, toward the breath. And now, just release the arms and the hands here. Place your hands on the floor, on your mat, flat, and then step all the way back into downward facing dog. Look at your hands, make sure you've turned them slightly out to the sides and glue the knuckles at the base of the first fingers and the heels of the thumbs down. Slightly bend the elbows and turn the triceps toward the sides of the face.
And then pull your hips strongly back. One more breath. Exhale, and drop your knees to the ground. And then turn around and sit with your legs straight out in front of you. You don't need to sit on anything here. We're going to do boat pose and then half boat pose. So turn your thighs in. For Navasana, if you want to do a more advanced version right away, feel free. Otherwise, the first time, catch the backs of the legs with your hands. Lightly turn the legs in. So you pull the inside of the legs apart with your hands. Drop the shoulder blades. Free the head on the top of the spine. And then walking the feet in, lean back. And bring your shins up parallel to the ground. Keep the shoulder blades down. And draw the inner thighs out with your hands. And now stretch the legs straighter. Maybe you can stay with the knees bent. Keep the shoulder blades down. Push out through the inside edges of the legs and lift the center of the chest up. Keep the jaw and the eyes relaxed. Inhale. Exhale, bend. Come down. We're going to do that a second time. We're actually going to do it 2 more times. So, turning the thighs in, lift the chest. Keeping the shoulder blades down. Lean back a little bit, walk in. Legs to, shins to parallel to the ground or legs straight. Wherever you are, push out the feet. Lift the center of the chest. And now maybe release the arms. Micro bend the elbows and lift the triceps, the underneath of the arm, underneath side of the arms up away from the ground. Lift the head. Move the head a little bit. Exhale, bend the knees. Come down. Last time. So again, turning the thighs in. Shoulder blades away from the ears. Walk in. Legs up. Arms out. Turn the thighs in. Drop the shoulder blades. Hug the triceps up away from the ground. Lift the chin a little bit. Bobble the head so you're not using your neck and jaw strength to hold you. One more breath. And then exhale, bend. Come down. Stretch the legs straight out in front of you. Ardha Navasana, half boat pose. So with the legs extended, interlace the hands behind your head. Drop the shoulder blades. Curl the chin a little bit toward the chest. And then we're going to roll onto the back of the pelvis and balance there. So tucking the chin round your spine. Roll onto the back of the pelvis until your legs lift. Hold. And then inhale, pull yourself back up. Change the interlacing of the fingers. Drop the shoulder blades. Turn the chin down toward the top of the collarbones. Squeezing the legs together. Roll back onto the back of the pelvis, lifting the legs. And then inhale all the way back up. Exhale. Release the arms. And then come over onto your stomach. So lying on your stomach, let's rest for a moment. And when we're lying on our stomachs and pausing here, we quite automatically shift into a slightly deeper breath. So just for the next few cycles of breath, again, draw all of the senses into the breath. Especially practicing feeling the breath inside the body. And listening to the sound of the breath. So that feeling into that inner environment and listening, those are key to developing a deeper relationship with our intuition and building our capacity to trust ourselves. And to cultivate the capacity to trust ourselves with all levels of uncertainty. Now bring your chin or your forehead to the ground. Take your hands back by your thighs and rotate the arms so that the palms face up. We're going to do 2 Shalabhasanas, so lifting the head, chest, arms, and legs. If lifting the legs isn't a good idea for your lower back, you'll just lift the head, chest, and arms. So we'll hold for 4 or 5 breaths and then come down. So scoop up the low belly, firm the muscles of the buttocks, and if it's possible, have your legs closer together versus further apart for this one. Dropping the shoulder blades away from the ears, exhale, and then when you're ready, inhale and lift up. As you curl the whole body away from the earth, lengthen the feet away from you, the crown of the head away from the pelvis. Exhale, come down. Rotate the thighs in. So you're right in the very center or the outside center line of the thighs. Bring your legs a little bit together. Walk your chin slightly out away from you. And then, when you're ready, scoop up the low belly, firm the muscles of the buttocks, reaching out through the big toes and the crown of the head. Inhale and lift up. Lift the tops of the thighs and curl the chest up so much that the bottom of the ribs lift or move in that direction. Exhale, come down. So you can either rest your forehead on your left forearm or prop yourself up on your left forearm for a thigh stretch, one-legged frog pose or Ekapada Bekasana. So with the left forearm in front of you, bend the right knee. Reach back, touch either the outside of the ankle or hold a foot on the inside. And if you know the swivel of the arm, then do that. Part 1 is to bring, or first stage is to bring the heel toward the buttocks, and stage 2 is to take the right heel to the outside edge of the hip and down toward the ground. Squeeze the right knee slightly toward the left. If your chest is lifted, push into your left forearm, drop your left shoulder blade, and curl the center of the chest forward and then up. And now exhale, slowly release that leg. And then and change sides. So prop yourself up on your right forearm or rest your forehead on your right forearm. Bend the left knee, either catch the outside of the foot or outside of the foot. Maybe swivel the hand around. The V between the thumb and the first finger is at the base of the toes. Wherever you are, squeeze the left knee toward the right. Take your heel down, either to the buttocks or to the ground outside your left hip. Now, if your chest is lifted, push down into your right forearm. Even drag your forearm in toward the chest, toward the torso, and use that to curl the chest up more. And then very gently release that leg. Come all the way down. Place the hands under the shoulders, tuck the toes under. Lift up and press back into downward facing dog. Use this just to stretch out and to alleviate any compression in the spine. So as you pull your hips away from your wrists, really lengthen from the tailbone to the crown of the head. And inhale. And then exhale. Drop your knees to the ground. And now we're going to sit and we're going to do a couple of seated twists. And we're going to intersperse those with seated forward bends. So for the twists, for most of us, we need a little more, we need some help getting length in the spine because we want to twist from as much length in the torso as possible as to twisting from any place where there's compression. So for that reason, I suggest you sit up on something, either on your block or a folded up blanket. Extra height gives ease in the extension of the torso. That is helpful in the seated twists. Also the seated forward bends, but especially in the twists. So bend your right knee once you're seated and draw your right heel toward your hip. So Marichasana 3, move your left foot over to the left. Plant your left leg and turn it in. So the inside of the leg comes down toward the ground a bit. And then holding your right knee with your right hand, stretch your left arm up. Come forward a bit. And for the first one, you might want to wrap, or you might already be ready to hook. So either wrap the left forearm around or hook the elbow across. So we're not going to use our hands yet to help. We're going to use the core strength of the torso to express the pose. So pushing down into your front, your right heel, lengthen the torso. Especially if your left arm is hooked across, drop your left shoulder blade. You can hold, I'm holding my shin right now, I'm enjoying that. And then it allows me to actually push the shin a little bit into the right hand. So now inhale, stretch up through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, twist. So this is maximizing our core work in the twist. So we're not supporting the twist as much with the arms. Turn the torso all the way to the right. Turn the head. And inhale back to center. Exhale. Stretch that leg straight. So right leg straight and out to the right. And turn the right thigh in. Bend the left leg. Inhale, take the left arm up. Stretch up, come forward, and either wrap around or hook the elbow over. And then you can do whatever makes sense with your left hand. So like I said, I'm holding the left
left shin. Today, sometimes I hold the wrist or the elbow. So now drop the shoulder blades, especially the right one, away from the right ear. As you inhale, stretch up. And as you exhale, twist the torso. Breathe. Recognize that the breath is compressed in the twist. And find new places to breathe. Continue to bring the right rib cage toward your left thigh and maybe more toward the outside of the left thigh. One more breath. Inhale back to center. Exhale. Stretch the legs straight. So Janu Shirshasana. I'm going to come off of the blanket for this. This is a seated forward bend. So with the right leg straight, bend the left knee in and open it to the left. And support it with a block or a blanket as needed. So if here your spine curls back toward the ground, then sitting up on something is a good idea. Again, we want that capacity to find extension, length in the spine. And so sitting up on something gives us a little bit more ease or capacity in that regard. And then with the right hand beside your right thigh, stretch the left arm up, lift up. And now as you come forward, hinge at the top of the legs, spin the navel toward your right leg, and take your left hand down to your calf, your ankle, your foot, maybe the outside of the foot. Adjust the right hand, walk it forward. But now pushing down with the right hand, lift the torso up, breathe long through the torso, spin the navel toward the right thigh more. And now as you exhale, fold forward and walk the right arm out. Pass the right foot and lengthen from your right hip to your right fingertips. One more breath. And then walking the hand back in, inhale, come up. Lift the left knee, stretch the left knee, leg straight. And bend the right knee, open the right knee out to the right. Support the knee as needed. Sit on something as needed. And then left hand by left hip, inhale, stretch the right arm up. Lift up well. And now as you exhale, hinge, come forward. Take the left hand right hand somewhere on the left leg. Then adjusting your left hand, push down to lift the torso up. As you lift the torso, lengthen the front of the torso, spin the navel and the low belly to the left. And now as you come forward, walk the left arm forward. Extend the torso over the left leg. And then lengthen from your left hip out through your left fingertips. Breathe. And then inhale, walk that hand in, come on up. Lift the right knee, stretch the right leg straight. And then I'm coming back up on the support for Marichyasana 3 a second time. So bend the right leg. I'm going to open the left leg a little bit, not as much as I did the first time, but you could have it straight or you could open it a little bit more. And this time we're going to put the right hand behind us. So if you need a block for that, grab your block. Inhale the left arm up, lift up. And now as you exhale, wrap around or hook across. Take the right hand behind you. Lengthen the left side of the torso.
And bring the left side of the torso forward toward your right thigh. See if you can get the arm hooked so that the knee is more at the top of the armpit, like right on the back of the armpit. Lift the torso, move the right hand perhaps a little bit more around behind you. And use your right hand to move the torso forward and to help with the lengthening from the sitting bones to the crown of the head. Now as you exhale, twist the torso deeply, turn the head. Feel into the constriction of the breath. Breathe as fluidly and deeply as possible. And now as you inhale, release, exhale, and feel the natural, deeper next breath. So one of the great invitations is actually the breath that follows the release of the twist. So as we compress and stretch the diaphragm, that breath after we release is really delicious, and it's that full, deep, relaxed breath that even comes sometimes after constriction or contraction. That is the kind of breath that we want to cultivate, and that's the breath that touches into our inner voice and the wisdom within. So, left knee bent, right leg straight, maybe right leg a bit to the right. Inhale the right arm up. You can tip the left knee in a bit and then come forward, a big hook. Take the other hand behind you. So with the left hand behind you, press the torso against the knee or against the thigh. Slide the right side of the rib cage toward the outside edge of the left leg. Drop the shoulder blades. Lengthen the torso. And exhale, twist. Practice breathing in the face of contraction or constriction. Lift the center of the heart up. Move the head slightly back. And then inhale, unwrap. Exhale. Notice this breath. Seated straight leg forward bend. So with both legs extended, turn your thighs in and stay on your support or not. As you inhale, lengthen the sides of the torso. As you exhale, hinge from the tops of the legs. Take the hands just some degree forward where you can still get length on the front of the torso. Press the inner edges of the thighs down. Plant the buttocks. Lengthen the front of the torso. Really lengthen from the base of the pelvis to the crown of the head. Keep that length. You'll notice that the low belly is sitting back. Keep that also. Walk the hands forward. As you walk the hands out, the shoulder blades can lift a little bit. Breathe. As best you can, feel the breath move on the front, the sides, and the upper back. One more breath. And then walk the hands back in. Inhale and come up. So just come into a comfortable seated position for a moment. So again, sit on support or not as needed. And I want to do a little bit of breath work here toward the end of the practice. Especially in these times, we want to cultivate the capacity for our lungs to really take in
full breaths. And most of us don't breathe with our entire lung capacity. It's actually a very small percentage that we use on a regular basis. So as much as possible, we want to cultivate the capacity for a deeper breath. So seated, the low belly, the area below the navel, just slightly drop back. And then what we're going to do, so you can just listen for a moment, what we're going to do is really lift the bottom and widen the ribs. So especially in the front of the body, the back will also widen. You want to lift the bottom ribs, so right where the ribs kind of start to come in together, that lifts and then widens out, so that you're intending to create as much capacity in the rib cage as possible without using the belly so much. So we want to keep the area below the navel calm, and then the navel, like the above the navel, actually lifts up a bit more as opposed to drawing back toward the spine more. So I'm going to do this with the hands on the ribs, and while I'm going to talk you through it, you want to use your own breath rhythm. So lengthen from the base of the pelvis to the crown of the head so that you can really feel the low belly and the area around the navel slightly tone in. Exhale. And now as you inhale, lift up the bottom ribs and really widen them apart. Pull as much width around the ribs right here at the bottom half underneath the breast as possible. And then slowly exhale. So you can even hold that breath, the inhale, for a moment. And now drawing the low belly back. Inhale, lift and widen. And keep that as you hold the breath just for a moment or two. Expand the rib cage as much as you can. And then exhale. Soften. So you, as best as you can, keep the throat and the jaw and the eyes quiet. Exhale, navel back. Inhale. Lift rib cage up and out. Feel the breath in the back, the sides, especially in this lower half. And then exhale. Let's do two more like this. Inhale, lift and widen. And then hold that, the jaw and the eyes quiet. And then exhale, release. So last one, we're deliberately stretching the soft tissue of the lungs, low belly back. Inhale, lift, up and widen out. Hold the breath here. And then exhale and release. We're going to follow that with a couple of rounds of alternate nostril breathing and then lie down in Shavasana. So take the first two fingers of the right hand to the forehead. You can place the left hand wherever is comfortable. So with the first two fingers of the right hand on the center of the forehead, touch the right nostril with the tip of the right thumb and the left nostril edge with the tip of the ring finger. Close your eyes. Soften the jaw. Exhale through both nostrils. Inhale through both. Now close off the right nostril and exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close both nostrils and hold for just a moment. And then open the right nostril and exhale slowly, calmly. Inhale through the right. Hold. Exhale through the left.
Work with your own rhythm, even if it doesn't match mine. Inhale through the left. Hold. Jaw relaxed, eyes soft. Exhale through the right. Inhale right. Close, hold. Exhale left. One more cycle all the way through, ending with your next exhale on your left. When you finish with your exhale through your left, just as you release your right hand, notice your state. And perhaps the interweaving of the physical practice and the breath work naturally moves our attention inward. And then we're continuing that in Shavasana. So supporting the body as you need. So perhaps a blanket behind your head. Perhaps something behind the knees. Lie on your back. As you lie on your back, let go of the legs. They'll naturally roll slightly outward to the sides as you do that. Take the arms either to the sides of the body or turn the arms up, or turn the arms so that the palms face down and place the palms on the torso. Close your eyes. Soften completely. Let the body move deeper and deeper and deeper into a state of release, relaxation, ease. Remembering that that state of repose is more conducive to listening to our intuitive voice. With the minimal amount of effort, it's actually quite effortless in many ways. Let the senses also relax and turn inward. Facilitate that by tuning into the breath.
And feeling into the tasteless taste of the breath. The smellless smell of the breath. The seen and unseen movement of the breath. So we know it moves in to a certain extent, and then it moves even more fully than that. Feel into the breath, touch every part of the body. And as the breath moves, follow the next inhale down and into the center of you. And anchor yourself there, even through subsequent circles of breath. And tune your inner ears toward the sound, the voice of your heart. The only certain guide. In the uncertainty that is life. Listen there. Gently deepen your breath. With the next deeper breath in, bend the elbows, place the palms down on the torso if they're not already there. Feel the breath. And bend your knees one at a time. And supporting the head with the right arm as needed, roll all the way to your right side. And then using your left hand, press yourself up. Sit for a moment. And sitting here, close your eyes and join your hands at your heart. And with the intention of listening to the voice of wisdom within, our intuitive sense, and knowing that that is the true guide, we'll close with one Om. Exhale. Take a deep breath in. Thank you. Namaste.